Guys, we have an interview coming up with Mikaela Mayer for her fight Mayer Ryan 2 in Vegas on the 29th.
This interview is brought to you by our good friends and sponsor, Shadow Fight Goods. We've talked about their gear over and over again. Best gloves I've probably ever used in my entire life. So really looking forward to this.
Yeah, super excited, man. Yeah, so we're here with Mikaela Mayer, who is working towards her upcoming rematch with Sandy Ryan, who she's super friendly with and loves, which is cool. So in terms of the fight itself, so we're in New York, we're in the arena, right? And everyone's talking about the fight, and they talked a little bit about the dynamic with coaching and some stuff going on beforehand. But there was these weird rumblings about something that had transpired leading up to the fight itself, and everyone was saying something. We're in the crowd and we're doing media, and someone's like, someone fucking threw paint on somebody or some shit, and we're like, what? So we found out about it the next day. First of all, tell us when you found out about it, and then tell us a little bit of your takes on it, because that's really what we want to talk about going into this.
I found out about the paint thing probably seconds after it happened, only because they told me to wait. You know, they don't want me and Sandy to be walking out to our cars at the same time. And we were staying at the same hotel. So they were telling my people, have her wait. Sandy's out here. The second her car picks her up, you come down the elevator. So we're literally standing at the elevator waiting to go down. And then my nutritionist gets a text like, holy shit, someone just threw paint on Sandy. And we were all taken back. We had no idea what was going on. They told us to pause, not walk down just yet, but I didn't really know the extent of it until I get to the arena and there's like cameras in my face and ESPN, you know, wanting to know what happened. And apparently I'm the suspect. I'm the one who did it. And so, and I get it. Initially, she's going to think that, right? Like, she's in America. You know, I'm not really a friendly opponent, I guess, when it comes to, you know, the press conference and all that. But that's really as far as I go. Anyone who knows me and my team, like, I'm not going to go out of my way to throw paint on someone. I had worked extremely hard to get back to this point, to get this world title shot. And that could have definitely put the whole fight at risk. So it wasn't my style at all. To this day, I don't know who did it, but I think Sandy knows now that it wasn't me. You can see in our interviews post-fight that she kind of has come to terms with that. But I don't think the paint was the problem. I really don't. Like, and I said in the tweet, I said, if someone would have thrown paint on me, I would have taken that paint and slapped it on my ass with my shorts, and I would have gone and done what I had to do. And my team would have encouraged me to do that. But I think that the thing that really messed her mind up was that her team was hyping her up.
Yeah.
I mean, she went and took all her clothes off. It's like, it was on your leg, dude. You took all your clothes off. You took this nude photo shoot. And then you see clips of Coach K, who was my former coach, in her dressing room screaming at her to pull out of the fight, like screaming at her. Anyone who knows K, that's not his style, okay? He's always cool, calm, and collected and a little mysterious. He doesn't really like being in the limelight, doesn't like being in front of the cameras, but he was screaming for her to pull out. And so I think that's really what messed her up mentally. You know, you got to surround yourself with people who are going to keep your mind in check, and they really screwed her up. So at the end of the day, I'm like, all right, if she thinks that messed her up and she wasn't able to perform at her peak and, you know, she wasn't in the right mindset, then let's just go. We'll do it again, and I'll beat her worse.
I think that's a great breakdown. So when we actually speculated, before having set up anything with you or anything, we kicked around, we found out about it. We saw the photo shoot, which I thought was, to this day, a little bit bizarre.
But like, really weird.
No, it's weird as shit. Yeah, that's like the political way to say it. It was fucking incredibly bizarre. And like, my thing was, the way that it splattered on her, where like you said, it wasn't in her face or anything, to me, immediately I'm like, that was her camp. Like, it was cool. Like, I'm just saying. So, I'm just saying.
Well, I heard a lot of comparisons to, someone was likened it to Nancy Kerrigan and Tanya Harding. I said, buddy, are you out of your mind? That's like someone setting up an attack on the other camp. Whereas not to be that guy, it seemed more like Jussie Smollett than Tanya Harding, you know?
It wasn't like a gallon either. It was like a cup full of paint. And again, they spent so much time on the photo shoot. It seems to rattle her a lot more after you beat her like a drum in that fight. Sure. Like, that was my take. I'm like, okay, now it's the perfect canned excuse when she doesn't perform the way she thought she was going to. So that was my take.
I don't know what her team, and I do think she should look inside her own team. And I don't know what their motive there was. Maybe Coach K didn't want to go up against Coach Al. Maybe they knew she wouldn't win. Maybe there was something going. Maybe they just wanted me to look bad, because I called them out on their shit.
Yep.
And I exposed them for what it was. Because I never really said anything that was untrue. Everything that I said was factual. I'm the one who had to go out and find a whole new team because of the situation that took place. So,
do you want to talk about that whole how did that whole thing go down? Because we only get clips and phrases like how did that happen?
Long story short, Kay has been my coach since the Olympics. He was in my corner for the Olympics. When I turned pro, I asked him to be there for me. He's been in every fight with me since I turned pro. And I remember Sandy started coming into the camps. And so we were sort of like off. Like I was in camp when she wasn't. And so I wasn't really there for the first time she came out to Vegas and trained. And so, but it was definitely like on my radar. Like, why is she there? Because I knew I was moving up to welterweight and we would eventually fight one day. And I was a week away from heading out to the Natasha Jonas fight to fight for the IBF world title at welterweight. And Kay came up to me and said, Mikaela, put his hands on my shoulders, says, Mikaela, don't freak out, but I'm bringing in Sandy. And I looked at him like, why would you do that? Okay, 10 years together, why would you do that? And I kind of got pissed off and walked out to the car, but I said, I got a job to do, and I kind of let it slide. And Coach Al was there, and he wasn't happy with the situation. He told Coach K, listen, like, we don't do that. Back in my day when we came up, like, you just don't do that. You don't take on fighters. You've been with Mikaela for a long time. They're about to be they're in the same weight class now. But he chose to do that anyway. And so I tried to make it work. It's not easy to up and leave and find a new coach these days. I kind of pride myself on the fact that I've had the same team my whole career. I've been loyal, and I think that's important when you have a good team on your side. They make or break you. But I was training, we're running on the track, and I was envisioning, like, I'm not going to be running next to this bitch. Like, I'm not really cool with my opponents. Okay, that's not my style, never has been. Like, how is this going to work? It's a small gym. DLX is a small gym. We're all a family. It's close-knit. I'm like, how is he going to make this work? She's going to come in here, spar my sparring partners, run alongside of me. Like, and I asked Kay, how are you going to do this? And he really couldn't give me the confidence that I needed. And, eventually I decided I need to look for another coach. I need to find someone else because I knew I was going to fight Sandy. I'm not the type of girl to come into the welterweight division, with the history that I have and the accolades that I have and not go out for the champions. Like, I'm coming for the champions, and Sandy was on that list. So I started looking other directions, and I found Kofi Jantua, and I said, all right, I'm not going to make you choose. I'm not going to beg you to pick me, even though that's where your loyalty should lie. So I'm going to make the move. And I made the move. And he was kind of shocked at it, but it's like, what do you expect? Like, no, I'm not doing this. So 2 weeks later, the fight was made. And I knew I did exactly what I said I was going to do. They didn't think the fight was going to happen. So, I even called Sandy on the phone. I called this bitch on the phone. Okay. I said, Sandy, I texted her first. He said, you need to call me. Okay. I just got back from the Jonas fight. I was like, you need to call me. We need to talk. Because she sent me this long message. Oh, you should have won that fight. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, we need to talk. And I call her, and I said, first thing I said was, what made you think this would be a good idea? You coming to Vegas, training under my team, my coach, knowing that I'm at your weight class now. Like, what made you think this would be a good idea? Oh, well, I don't think we're going to fight. I didn't mean anything by it. Whatever, in her fucking dumbass voice. And I said, well, just so you know, we are going to fight, okay? Like, I'm coming to welterweight to fight the champions, and you're the champion, so you are on my hit list, and this is not okay with me. It's a major conflict of interest. And she didn't care. And so at this point, I'm not really mad at her for doing what she had to do. Stick by what you decided to do, though. Don't try and flip the script and make it look like I'm this crazy person, which they're trying to do. They're trying to gaslight me like I'm this crazy person. I was just trying to hold on to the team that I've had my entire career. And I knew we were going to fight. And I'm being the businesswoman that I am, I knew I was going to go out and make the best fights happen. And one of the best fights was going to be me and Sandy. I was going for the champion. So whatever. She did what she had to do, and she came anyway, and I left.
I mean, so as gym owners, we train a ton of amateurs and professional boxers and stuff. we wouldn't even take on, like, we do mostly club shows, obviously, and you're an Olympian, but so I don't want to compare the two to apples, but I would never take on a guy if I have a 68 or if I get a super middle. Especially with women's boxing, you are two of the 5 biggest names in the sports without even thinking about it.
There's no. I mean, you're so far above that group. It's just it's so few. It's like that you're going to cross paths.
Of course, and to
right.
get a
and
woman.
If you have the option of taking on Mikaela Mayer or Sandy Ryan, like, okay, are you trying to double dip and get double paid? Not going to happen. So you might as well pick the higher paid fighter. I don't know what he's going for. You going for the money? You going for what? Like, you should have stuck with me. Now you're getting paid a quarter of the price.
That's another thing I was going to say. He's with you to begin with, and then I don't mean to pump your tires, but you are the A side. You are the to me. As soon as I saw it, I said, Sandy Ryan is fighting Mikaela Mayer.
Yeah.
Like, you are
it's
the
a
marquee name.
It's a steakhouse to McDonald's. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
wild. I don't know. Maybe they have another relationship we don't know about.
I love this shit so much.
Hey, while we're on the subject of Coach K, Mikaela, let me bring you back 5 years ago, where you had a little something to say about Coach K, and then I've got this a little follow up.
Coach K is more of the, okay, we're doing 10 rounds on the mitts today. Okay, we're working this bag. Coach Al is the strategist and the technician. Coach K works me. Coach K gets me in shape. They're both great. They both work really well together, which is also a hard thing to find, is two coaches who, Coach Al is the head in the corner, and it's sometimes hard to find a coach who's willing to kind of take a back seat to that. Coach K does it really well. He knows that Coach Al has experience, and I've told Coach K, if anything ever happens to Coach Al, I completely trust my career in your hands, and that's really important to me, for them to have a good relationship, for me to know that if something were to happen to Coach Al, that they would help me run my career, and that I could trust them with that. So I have all the faith in Coach K to be able to pick up those pieces when maybe Coach Al can't, because he is 75 and I know he won't be around forever. So I'm just trying to soak up all his knowledge and just appreciate the time we have. But after that pro debut, I knew that I wanted Coach K to be my coach permanently. I just couldn't see myself developing a new relationship with a new coach. Like, that's hard to do. It's not easy to find a good coach.
So you had a lot of really, nice things to say about him back then, and it seemed like you guys were really tight. I mean, did it hurt when this happened?
No, and then I stand by everything I said, and Coach Al too, because he always wants to make sure that if anything, he says this to me all the time, and I hate it. He's like, if something happens to me, I need to make sure you're okay. And I'm like, Coach, you're fine. But that's what, we thought we had in Coach K. And again, it's been almost 10 years with him in my corner. So really didn't expect him to pull this on us, especially in such a critical time in my career, This is my chance to get everything back, and for him to not stand by me, it didn't feel good. But I'm a gangster. I'm a hustler like that. It is what it is. Yeah. Like, I saw how he was moving, and at the end of the day, I'm going to pick myself first.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried my best to stick around and try and make it work, and I didn't see it turning out right. And at the end of the day, I made the right decision. I moved on. I found I think a better coach in Kofi Jantua, and made the fight. A few weeks later, took her belt, and I don't regret a single thing. I think it was kind of a blessing in disguise. So I think the pressure and the regret and the sadness maybe should be on him. He had a good thing with me and Coach Al, and we never did him wrong. And it is what it is. But he has his own career too, and that's his decision. So I'm not mad. I really don't have any feelings towards it. Again, I feel like I leveled up, and I'm 100% satisfied with Kofi, and God, he's teaching me so much. So I really just, again, believe it was a blessing in disguise.
And how excited are you now to have the single best, Fight Short trolling, as a sponsorship in the history of Fight Short trolling?
Wait, when I saw that, you guys, I was like, okay, I was like hesitant to even post it, because I was like, that was my fucking idea. Okay, I
so you get someone texts you as your manager, whoever, and just goes, there are 3, I guess, assholes in Boston that want to do this. So walk me through the process of how this ends up
on your table.
Yes.
No, because it was generally me because I saw your guys' podcast, and when I tweeted that tweet saying like if that happened to me, I would slap a red handprint on my ass and go in there and do what I had to do. And in my head, I'm like, shit, I should walk in there with a red handprint. I was literally just gonna dip my red hand in paint and put it on my butt. And then I saw you guys, and I love that you guys picked it up, and I love that you guys saw the vision for it too, because I was like, yes, that is a great idea. And I think Sandy got a paint sponsor as well. So,
dude, that's whack as fuck. So it's one thing. Listen, I will say this: I get where you're coming from and how offended you are that she, tried to come between you and your coach. But look, we're a grassroots podcast. We're putting our name out there in an ass. How dare she? How dare she take the handprint idea?
No, it's a great idea. Whatever. It's already locked in. We're doing it.
Love it.
I think that great minds think alike, so props to you guys. It's going to be great, and might as well turn something negative into something positive.
Hell yeah. Yep.
Everyone's going to blame me anyway, so whatever.
Speaking of great minds, and I don't want to deviate too much so Rob doesn't slap me, but Mark and I, and Rob, we're all musicians. Mark and I were like in a crossover thrash band. Rob's probably more pop punk. Is that fair, Rob?
No, not fair at all.
No, is it not?
No.
What are you guys? What were you guys?
I mean, we were punk, but like, I don't know. I always had a problem with the whole pop.
All right.
Thing.
I don't mean to rub,
right.
but you were. So we've been told that you were in a band with Nina Strauss. Is this true?
Yes.
What do you play?
When I fought Hamadouche, Nita Strauss was the one who played the guitar during my walkout. That was a while ago, a little bit before kind of things blew up,
Yeah.
But
they played the same Warped Tour stage that we played.
Is that right?
I think so.
I played Warped Tour 3 times when I was 13 years old.
Yeah.
It
was 2003 or 2004, right? Or something like that, somewhere around there. That's when we played it too. So.
Oh, you guys played it too?
Yeah, I mean, Ernie Ball stage, not anything like...
I don't even know what stage I was on. That's how young I was.
Right.
It's all blur.
Itty-bitty little stage.
Wait, are you a drummer?
No, I was a bass player.
He was the bass
Bass player. Slap in the basement.
Guys, I was going to tell you, for your last pro show in town, Nita Strauss was in town playing up the street.
No shit. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So as far as like musical influence, what type of music did you play? I'm not gonna, Rob. I promise, I'm not gonna spend the whole interview talking about this, but I have to dig in. I love this shit.
We were like, I was in my metalhead era, so we were like Pantera, Black Sabbath, Lamb of God, Killswitch Engage, Slipknot, all those bands. It's a huge genre. I know you have the old school 80s style and then the newer metal, but yeah.
I'm rocking my Anthrax hoodie right now. So we're with it. We love thrash.
Anthrax. Yeah.
I mean, around that same time is when I saw Pantera. We saw Pantera, I think
2001 at Ozfest.
2001, so I think 2001.
2000.
Yeah.
Somewhere
around
there.
In
It was
fact,
on the Reinventing the Steel tour.
Yeah, in fact, the same documentary project that you're a part of, Mikaela, I also have Phil Anselmo from Pantera, who's a huge boxing fan. Wasn't sure if you knew that.
No.
Oh man, he huge fan. So that tune, what was it, Mouth for War?
Yeah.
He wrote that all about Tony. He wrote it about
James Tony.
James Tony, that's right.
James Tony gave me my first pair of boxing shoes.
No shit. Wait, okay, so you can't just say that. Like, how the hell does that happen?
So when I first started boxing, I was like 17, 18 years old, living in the valley of California, the San Fernando Valley, and we trained at the same gym. He actually just hit me up the other day, and he was like, "Oh, I'm really proud of you." I'm like, "Hey, oh my God, James Tony." I'm like, I still tell people to this day, you gave me my first pair of boxing shoes. I didn't have any. He was, Everlast deal, and he brought in these little red Everlast shoes, and haven't seen him since. It's been like 15 years, and now he kind of seen what I've done, so he's, he just want to hit me up and say congrats. But yeah, I'm told to come to my fight. We'll see.
A fighter from right around the same era. The three of you guys can talk about this one. Mikaela, you had told me that Coach Al had you watch a shit ton of Vernon Forrest all the time.
I love Vernon Forrest.
Yeah. What was it that he loved about Vernon Forrest and wanted to instill in you?
So I think that he knows that Vernon, he always said this to me, so I don't think I know, but Vernon was tall and long and rangy. And one of the things that Vernon did really well, even as a tall, rangy fighter, was he dug to the body. He dug to the body really well and kept turning, always stayed on the angle, had a really good jab. And the second the fighter kind of closed the distance and got in there, he was digging to the body harder than anyone. So it was just a blend of styles. Coach Al always wanted me to be very versatile, and being in the amateurs, it was always about boxing, just scoring. And then when I turned pro, he was very adamant about me learning how to go to the body. And so he would just make me watch Vernon Forrest fights over and over and over again, show me how to keep that range while also digging while I was on the inside. So, sad I never got to meet him. I didn't know this, but Vernon Forrest died the year before I met Coach Al. And so there was something kind of like spiritual there, because that was his fighter. He brought him up. They had a really great relationship. It really broke Coach Al, and Vernon Forrest died. And then here's this, little skinny white girl that comes to him a year later, and there's a bunch of guys there. You had Chris Pearson in the gym with me. You had Jesse Hart. You had Jesse Hart in the gym with me. You had Chris Pearson and all these young guys coming up, and it was sort of like I'm the last one standing with Coach Al. He's really like brought me up and helped me build a tremendous career. So I don't know. It was just it was pretty great that I came into his life at that time.
You do definitely see some parallels between you two in the sense that yourself and Vernon are fantastic, obviously amateurs, but as someone does the amateur style that I think you both had, that long rangey, jab 1-2 style, doesn't always transition well to professionals. Whereas you could see it now, especially that you mention it, that you do dig to the body, especially for inside. A longer fighter. You do get mean inside. So did Vernon always did. Yeah. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I should probably go back to being a little more like Vernon, though. Sometimes I get caught up on the inside and I bang. So, Kofi's helping me get back to that. But yeah, I get happy on the inside and I tend to bang it out. But also that's also done me well in fights, especially against Hamadouche, where people didn't think I could hang on the inside and bang to the body. They just expect me to box and move, but I've made myself a little well-rounded. I can do both.
Nice.
Real quick, speaking of like going from amateurs to the pros, so we have a lot big female stable, and our open fighters are doing 3-minute rounds. Obviously, how do you feel about 2 minutes versus 3 minutes rounds in female professional boxing?
So here's my stance on it. I think that with 2-minute rounds, there's really no time to feel your opponent out, right? If you look at like a Terrence Crawford fight, sometimes he doesn't really dominate the first round or two, but he's very smart. He takes his time. He gets his opponent's timing down. And women don't really have the luxury of doing that. And I think what ultimately it's doing is it's holding back the development of our ring IQ. Because we have to go in there and we just have to let our hands go, and we're kind of beating the clock. And I think that if we were allowed 3 minutes, you would see the development of women's boxing grow a lot, and we would be strategizing more, picking our opponents more. And maybe the fans don't want to see that. The true boxing people, the true-hearted boxing people, will appreciate that. But there are a lot of fans who love that we just go toe-to-toe right away, toe-to-toe.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, we like Mark and I, we obviously with the amateur stable, you have more novice fighters than you're gonna have open fighters, but all the novice guys, it's like they don't get to box. That's how we always describe it.
Yeah, you got 6 minutes, you got to let your hands go because you don't have any time to feel them out at all. Sorry.
Yeah, no, and it's a matter of the fact that you guys are going from 3 minutes to 2 minutes. I do get the excitement part of it, and we do see it like in organizations like Bare Knuckle, they do 2 minutes, but I don't. Like, we're purists. We want to see you guys box, and we have female fighters that are open that love it because you get the 3 minutes to actually feel out an opponent. You don't just have to like blitz and just throw hands the whole time. So it is something we've been lobbying for. We would prefer women's boxing to be 3 minutes.
I think over time it'll happen. I still think there's a lot of women who wouldn't be able to handle 3-minute rounds. I think the elite of us, and I'm sure you would know the names if we could name them, could handle it. Yeah. Not everyone can just yet, but the sooner we allow it, the sooner we'll develop into that. We have to have that. We have to have something to shoot for, and we have to be able to train properly in that style. And again, build the ring IQ for 10 3-minute rounds. So I think it'll happen eventually. I don't know if it'll happen in my career time, but we'll see. And it's just the evolution of women's boxing. We've come so far since I've started. So
Oh, yeah.
I can't complain, but we're all pushing. The next generation will definitely see the results of our work.
When you're in camp, do you do 2 minutes on for pacing, or do you still do threes?
No, I do 3-minute
Yeah,
rounds.
so do we. Yep. We always do with even our novices. We always do, and in our female, we have a couple female pros, and even then, we still do 3-minute rounds.
Yeah, always 3-minute rounds.
Yeah.
Can we talk a little Olympics? Mikaela was tapped by NBC Universal to do some commentary this year at the Olympics, and I imagine that was a whole lot of fun. Mikaela, as you know, was in the Olympics and had a questionable exit by some judges there. In fact, I have this little clip from 5 years ago to talk about it real quick.
You would.
Of course I do.
I haven't gotten caught up in that mentally because I feel like if I would have sat there and made excuses like, oh, the Russians were cheating, oh, the judges, oh, I needed to move on from it. I needed to just accept that it happened, because either way, I was going to go back and redo the fight. I try not to get caught up in that, but to be honest, I still haven't rewatched that fight. It's hard for me to give myself a more updated evaluation of how I thought I actually did. I couldn't tell you. I should probably watch it.
Have you ever watched it?
Still haven't watched it.
Yeah. You can't.
Also, not even. I've actually tried, but you can't find it anymore. The thing about competing in the amateurs is NBC owns everything, so I have no access to any of my fights from Olympic trials. I can't find the Olympic fights. They're just nowhere to be seen. So I don't really know, but it's sad. I never really got to rewatch it. But again, I stand by what I said 5 years ago. It's just you got to move on, and I think that I wasn't really happy after the Olympics. I think that I didn't get everything I expected to get out of it. One, I obviously didn't medal, but two, there was a lot of things going on in the Olympics. They say always have your ducks in a row, family-wise, friends-wise, and I didn't. And then there was a lot of distractions for me. And so, not to say that had anything to do with the fight, but mentally, like, my experience from the Olympics wasn't enjoyable. And when I left, or when I finished the Olympics, there was options for me. The only option for me was to go for another Olympics, because professional promoters weren't signing women. And there was really no other option for me. But I found myself right back at the Olympic Training Center training for nationals. And I'm like, I did all this. I thought, I think a lot of Olympians think that their life will change once they make it to the Olympics. And I think a lot of the attention goes to more Americanized sports like track and field and swimming and gymnastics. And boxing just really wasn't there. And then so I didn't get everything I expected, and I was kind of right back where I started, and I knew I wanted more. Like, I was willing to take the risk and get more, because really what I wanted was like financial freedom. I really wanted financial freedom. That's always been my number one goal. And so I was this close to abandoning boxing and signing a contract with Bellator. I mean, I was like days away from signing this contract.
Do you have any wrestling or jiu-jitsu background at all?
I started with Muay Thai for like a year, but I had no wrestling. But I didn't care. I was like, F it. I need to go where the women are getting the TV time, the money.
Sure, because Heather Hardy went over there. A few others went over there.
Yeah, and I was hungry for success, and I was willing to take that risk. And so I was so close to signing with Bellator, and my manager called me. He's like, wait, Mikaela, just wait, because he was against it all along. And he said, let me just sit down with Top Rank and a couple other boxing promoters and just see if we can get you into boxing as a professional. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. Call me a week later, and he goes, where are you? And I'm like, I'm in Vegas. I'm trying out an MMA camp. I was trying out Randy Couture's gym.
Yeah, Team Couture. Extreme, yeah.
He's like, perfect. You have a sit-down interview at Top Rank tomorrow in Vegas. Stay there one more night. And I was like, okay. And after I sat down with Todd DeBuff here at their headquarters, I basically sat there and sold myself to him. I was like, I know there's no market for women's boxing right now, but if there is going to be one, I'm the girl to help change that. And by the end of that interview, I had almost convinced myself, and I was like, I need to stay in boxing. I need to finish what I started. And we signed the deal a week or two later, and I didn't have to get kicked in the head, and it was the blessing. Everything the stars sort of aligned for me perfectly, and I'm really glad it happened. But yeah, I was very close to leaving.
Wow, imagine a Bellator career too. I just love that you were like, I just like how badass you are that because you didn't get a decision in labor trials, you're like, fuck it, I'll just do MMA. That's like
in
wild,
in like one of the premier organizations.
Yeah, especially at that time. Yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
In terms of, so you mentioned financial freedom. Now, obviously, this Ryan fight's a tremendous fight, and the first fight, although we felt like you won, it was clearly a competitive contest. I mean, she can fight, and you can fight. It's a good fight. If we were be kind of a little crystal ball action, is there a big money fight? Like there's one name that gets kicked around, but we know you're super friendly with at 154 is Shields.
Like the only one more excited for your win at Madison Square Garden than us was Clarissa losing her mind.
Yeah.
So
I got a great video of that. It's right in front of her.
No, me and Clarissa have history for sure, but again, we're both, businesswomen at the end of the day. We both want to make the most of our career and do what the fans want to see. And I'm not opposed. I'm finally now settling into my welterweight body. You have to remember I cut down to 130 for my entire career. And it took time. I've been at welterweight now for a year and a half. It took time to get that muscle mass back.
Sure.
Because after dieting down for so long, and I'm not a small person. I'm 5'9".
Yeah.
So I'm finally feeling solid. I feel like my strength's coming through. And I'm here for the biggest fights possible. Clarissa tweeted me. She said, "Hey, you want to fight me at 154?" I said, "Say when." I know she's a heavyweight right now, though. I have a year booked, right? I have a job to do at welterweight.
Yeah.
I want to finish what I started. I want to go undisputed. I want to whoop Sandy again, and then obviously fight Lauren Price at the end of the year for undisputed, and then we can talk. But she has to work her way down from heavyweight as well. So
as I say, you're working up to 47. She's coming down. Was she 175 or so her last bout, right? Something like that, wasn't it?
Heavyweight is 175 plus.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, that sounds right. But I mean, that's a massive discrepancy between the two. But the fact that you even immediately you're like, oh no, she's my friend and she's a heavyweight. But of course, I'd fight her.
I know. It's like, I love you. Let's fight.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care because at the end of the day, when I hang up the gloves, I want to say I did everything possible. I took on all the challenges possible, made the most money possible, and I'm working my ass off now so I can enjoy my life later. So F it.
I mean, like you mentioned James Toney earlier. James Toney started his, career mostly at middleweight, and then fought guys like Ruiz and stuff at heavyweight. So and Holyfield and all them. So no, and he's another gangster ass motherfucker too, for that matter.
And that's what the women are doing. The women are jumping around, making the fights that they have to make. And we don't really have the privilege of sitting back and collecting $1 million paydays and not fighting the best. And I think that's where boxing is changing. I think it's been that way for a while, but the women are coming in and they're saying, let's go, let's do what we got to do, because we want the respect and we want the money and we want the shine, and we're just going to do what we got to do. So it is what it is. And hopefully at the end of the day, we're kind of changing that narrative for boxing. And it doesn't matter if you have a loss on your record. It's if you're fighting the best and you're putting on the best fights for the fans.
Yeah, that's huge. And it just goes to show you too, like you mentioned when you started out, like female boxing wasn't profound. Mark and I are a little bit older. Like we could tell you the 3 females that fought when we were growing up. Like they were the 3 women in the gym. And now when we go to our gym, everyone knows who you are. You know what I mean? Like that's a huge difference in just 20 years in the sport. So it really is a testament to not only you but all female boxers. At the professional ranks. It is turning the tide.
You had back in the day. You had like Layla Ali and Mia St. John and Christy Martin, but then there was like a whole decade where women's boxing wasn't a thing. So it didn't really cross over. And obviously they're great, so they're going to go down in history, they're household names. But this generation of women boxing has done something different. Like these are the true pioneers of women's boxing. We've crossed over into the Olympics, we've crossed over into the pro ranks, and we're changing the game for sure. So it's just different. It's a different time.
Absolutely.
And you had mentioned this 5 years ago. You said that the women of this generation have that Olympic pedigree to pitch to promoters. And what have you seen so far about along those lines of women that have Olympic pedigree trying to jump into the sport?
This is the first time in history that women have been able to cross over to the pros and say, "Listen, I'm a multiple-time world champ or national champion. I'm a world champion. I'm an Olympian. I'm an Olympic gold medalist." That didn't happen before. So you're just seeing this evolution of women's boxing, and it's going to continue to grow. it's going to continue to get better. The talent pool is getting deeper.
Yep.
You know, little things like them maybe allowing us to go 3-minute rounds are going to increase our IQ. And so it's just an evolutionary time.
Yeah, I think part of the issues that the Layla Ali's of the world had is the level of competition in front of her. She could only beat who existed, and there wasn't a huge talent pool. Right now, like, we can name 5 women in and around your weight class that would be marquee main event fights, and that's just such an exciting time for female boxing because of that.
Yeah, you need the talent pool, and it's there now. It's only getting deeper.
Absolutely.
Like, there's young girls out there like kicking ass. It's going to get tougher. It's going to get better.
Yeah. Speaking of other people and marquee fights, I'm sure there's NDA that you can't say specifically, but like on a scale from like what scratching your head to what the fuck, how far did Bumgardner price herself out of the fight that you guys offered her?
I don't know. That's not my job. I'm not the promoter. I'm not the negotiator. At the end of the day, Baumgartner's not in the best position right now. Okay, she popped hot. She popped hotter than any boxer ever, and somehow kept her belts. Someone please explain this to me. We don't know. Her simple fans think that she cleared her name. She did not clear her name. She simply got away with popping hotter than a 400-pound bodybuilder. Okay, she kept her belts. Didn't fight for a year. She was suspended. Has fought once since then. In my mind, she should be begging for a big name fight. But I don't know. Some people just aren't business savvy in that way. So I don't know what she's got up her sleeve or what she wants. But the worst thing a boxer can do is sit on the shelf. So if she's happy where her career is now, fine, whatever. But I know the fans wanted to see that rematch, and not that I really wanted to give her the opportunity because I don't think she deserves it. But at the end of the day, I want to kick her ass, and I want the fans to get the fights they want to see. So we offered her the rematch. I don't know what she was thinking, but she thinks she's worth a lot more than she is. So
look at what you're doing, what she's doing right now. Like, you have the Ryan rematch, which is, I think, the most. I mean, Taylor and Serrano obviously is in the conversation, but I think this is the marquee, female fight.
This is
right
the
now.
biggest female fight.
And she's coming off,
right now. A no contest.
A no contest on a headbutt with a card that no one watched, and then she's a drug cheat. Like, I don't know. That doesn't, like, I'm tuning in for, Ryan Mayer.
We're not offering her sponsorships. You know what I mean?
I don't know who's advising her, but she's not my problem. I did it for the fans. She said no. Maybe one day down the line we can make this rematch happen, but I'm in a great position. I have I'm in a very competitive weight class right now. Welterweight is the next, to me, the best division. So many girls can kind of fluctuate there if they need to. And so I'm fine. I'm set. I'm focused on myself. If she wants to come around and, shrink her head a little bit and do something that means something, then she can. Otherwise, I have other opportunities and other big names to fight.
Yeah, 47 is awesome. It's always been awesome in male boxing, too, because you have the 40ers and the 54s that can play around there, and it makes for great matchups.
Yeah, the welterweight division has always been the best division for men's boxing.
Always.
All the gangsters are there. It's always been the best. So
absolutely.
I think that's what's happening with women's boxing, too, and it's a perfect middleweight for us women. Again, we can fluctuate. We can go down. We can go up. So this is it.
Fantastic.
Nice.
Any closing words before we?
No, we got some more.
We got some more.
Yeah, there's more. Yeah.
I thought.
Let's
look at my
see how
great.
Let's see how clairvoyant she was back in the day, talking about boxing making a comeback 5 years ago.
But I do think boxing's making a comeback. I really do. I don't think it was ever dead, but it definitely lost a little bit of popularity with the households in America, and I definitely think it's coming back with the help of MMA as well. Seeing all these amazing women come into the pros and impress people. Like, they just had no idea. I still have people come to me and say, oh, I didn't know women boxed. And it just blows my mind, but it's definitely changing.
How is boxing doing?
I was so young. No, I think it's getting even better. I mean, some people have their opinions on Turkey coming in to the business and doing what he's doing, but at the end of the day, he's making the fights that we all want to see. He's putting the money out. And so I think it's great. And now you have Dana White coming out with his own boxing promotion, which, looking at Dana White's history, I don't think he can fail. He's got Turkey on his side too. So it's all for the better of the sport. Again, I don't think I'll see the benefits of all these things. I'm not sure if Turkey wants women in the picture right now, or and I'm definitely going to retire with Top Rank and maybe only have a few years left. So I may not see how the whole Dana White promotion goes, but I think it's a great opportunity for the next generation. Right now it's still very hard for a lot of these women and men to get signed. It's getting even harder. They're not signing as many fighters as they used to. The networks are changing. We're all going to these apps, and it's getting a lot more complicated. So there's not a lot of opportunity now. You really have to be the best of the best. And the more promotions that come out, the more people that come together to create these opportunities, then, the more success, the more options there are for these young fighters to come up and actually have a career in the sport. So it's all good. I think it's gonna be a lot better the next 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, we had some conversations with TKO and the guys over there, and it's really it's especially appealing for guys like us. We're lower level local promoters, and it allows, we have a lot of guys that are in the top 50 in the world, but none that are in the top 10, if that makes sense. So when you get that type of TKO money, whether it's, the conglomerate that Dana's with and the WWE's with, these mega corporations, and then you get His Excellency in play, and they start throwing some numbers at our guys, to get out of Boston. It's really appealing. And just looking at it compared to MMA, we just talked about MMA is great. We're huge MMA guys. We've been fans of UFC since the advent of it. Our first event we attended was UFC 45, right? So I don't mean to say this disparagingly, but MMA is at a point right now in UFC especially where the star power is actually kind of dulling a little bit, and boxing is almost feels like it's kind of in a renaissance period. And I do think a lot of that has to do with female boxing.
Thank you.
Yes.
But the fact that Dana White is getting into boxing is definitely a positive thing. I don't care what anyone says about it. He has a great track record. He's done what he's done with the UFC and MMA. So, but we'll see how things change. Right now we're in the 4-belt era. A lot of people don't like that, including Turkey. And I think Dana White. I'm not sure what Dana White's opinion on that is, but some people want 1 belt, one champion. And we'll see how things go. I don't necessarily know how I feel. I would do whatever I had to do, whatever they decide. It's not up to me. At the end of the day, though, 4 belts do give more fighters more opportunity to fight and make money and become champions. So it's spread out a little bit more versus like the UFC where you have 1 champion and the opportunity is very slim. So I can't hate on either way, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, that's fair.
Nice. We have another crystal ball clip from Mikaela. Here we go.
And I want to see women alongside men like Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford, but not on the undercard. I want to see them partnering. I want to see Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford as the main, and the co-main Mikaela Mayer versus Katie Taylor. Okay, I want big women fights alongside big men fights. So
we have seen that. So nice work on the crystal ball.
No, I was going to say, unfortunately, she was wrong. She headlined. She wasn't the co-main.
It's funny what it's in 5 years. What a difference, because now you have concurrently not only you headline a card, Katie Taylor and Serrano are also headlining a card. So how the tables have turned. I mean, that's
I liked myself back then because I was not wrong.
Yeah.
That what's going to help women's boxing grow? My point there was to help. If you want to really elevate women's boxing, start by putting them alongside these men, because I never minded being on the undercard of big fights. I've been on Lomachenko undercards. I've been on Tyson Fury undercards. And I love that because it was a chance for me to reel in and steal their fans, right? That's how I thought of it. It's okay, I may not have the power to hold my own card right now, but I'm gonna reel in as much support as I can on my way up. So I really think that would benefit a lot. And I still, to this day, if you were to put someone I don't think anyone would complain if you put me and Sandy Ryan on a Canelo Crawford undercard. I really don't think they would mind. I still want to fight Katie Taylor, but I don't think that'll ever happen at this point.
Yeah, and I would much rather see that than the trilogy that's coming up. Just
it's kind of interesting having a trilogy but I get it, because I do think that Serrano should have had at least one of those decisions. So,
which is what I told Rob. That's why it's an 0-2 trilogy, but Serrano won the second fight, so you have to make it.
Trilogy, but Serrano definitely has an argument there, and they're making money, so I'm not going to hate at all. Go do your thing.
Mm-hmm.
Rob's so against it. He's so mad. You know what it is? Rob just got into sports gambling, and he keeps betting on Serrano, and I keep telling him bet on Taylor regardless of who he thinks actually won the fight. That's how you gamble, but that's
Wait,
fine.
bet on Serrano one more time because you're going to switch to Katie, and then Serrano's going to win. You're going to be pissed.
Not if
That's what you've been doing.
Yeah, not if the
I mean,
Irish
I don't
mob
know,
has anything
but-
to say about it.
Yeah, exactly. You know. Are you still a metalhead? Just before we quit, did you still like get gassed up? Do you still listen to metal at a time, or now do you listen like?
I mean, it's still in my playlist. Once in a while, Pantera, Slipknot will pop on. I'll be like, damn, why did I stop listening to this stuff? But for the most part, no, not really.
Her dad got a tattoo of her band on him like many years ago. From what
I was so
reading.
young on my first tour. I was 13 years old. My dad's like, I'm going with you. And he drove the car, went to the U.S., booked these tours, or booked these shows for ourselves. And then one day we woke up and everyone's like, Kayla, where's your dad? I'm like, I don't know. I probably went to get coffee. And he comes back and we're like, Dad, where were you? And he takes off his shirt and shows the Leah Fail tattoo tatted on his shoulder.
Sick.
Like,
We gotta get
cool.
him. I know, like we gotta see if he'll do a red handprint at this point. You know what I mean? So
He would. My dad is cool as hell. He would
that's
do it.
awesome. That's
said,
fucking
"Dad,
great.
What you gotta do next?
That's sick.
But
Well,
my sisters are jealous because they don't have.
He doesn't have tattoos for them.
He doesn't have tattoos. So if he gets another tattoo from me, they're gonna do it.
That's a wrap. It's a
But I'm
wrap.
the favorite. We all know that.
Yes. You're our favorite. I mean, really, we're so excited. Like, as soon as we said, like, the whole handprint thing, like, we've always been fans, but now, like, we feel like we have such a vested interest. And what's funny, we bumped into Chris Mannix. Mannix was at our last show,
Yeah.
and we were talking about it, and he was like, oh my God, you are the fucking knuckleheads that actually paid for that. We're like, oh yeah, we are, dude. So he loves it. He was like, everyone's talking about it, you know.
it.
So I'm glad it just brings extra eyes to what already is going to be a great fight.
It's gonna be great, and the red is gonna stand out. So
Yep.
your podcast is gonna be lit after this.
Fuck yeah, let's go.
Any predictions before we end? Any predictions on the fight?
I'm fucking Sandy up. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm telling you guys, it's gonna be worse than it was last time.
Good.
I
We
don't know-
believe it.
No, I do know what she's doing because I've been in camps like that. She's conditioning. I've been working on my boxing. I'm gonna be a 10 times better fighter. She's gonna do the same thing. She's gonna be the same thing. She's not gonna switch up.
And Kay was never your strategy dude. That was always Al, right?
That was always
Kay
Al,
was the
so that's
conditioning dude.
always
Does she have a strategy dude, or is Kay the strategy dude?
She doesn't know what she has. Listen, this girl tried to go back to the UK to train with a different team after our first fight, and they wouldn't take her. She tried to go train with Chantel Cameron's old team, and they said no because their loyalty was to Chantel. And so she had to come back to Vegas because she had already rubbed everyone the wrong way. No one likes her, and you don't know how many messages I get on like weekly saying like nobody likes her over there. We hate her. Keep her over there. I swear, I don't know what she did to like rub her country the wrong way, but nobody fucking likes her. She came over here. She had no choice but to train with Kay, even though she tried to leave and go back to the UK. No one would take her. I don't know. So she's stuck with the situation. I'm not worried about it. I'm focused on myself. Again, I feel like I'm getting better every single day. So I just don't think there's anything she can do to switch up and beat me.
And I think she was concussed on your last fight. Is that right?
Well, we went to see the doctor. The second we went back to, backstage after the fight, to sit there and we see the doctor, she's barfing in the bathroom.
Oh,
Right
that's
after
bad.
her. She's barfing in the bathroom. Listen, I know this is the fight game, but I've had double the fights she has. I've never gone to the bathroom and started barfing after a fight. So whatever I did to her was worse than what she did to me.
Yep. Yeah, that's no joke. That's Rob. That's not a concussion. That's like a severe concussion when you're
start
throwing up.
throwing
That's
up and
like
shit, yeah.
bad
Yeah, that's
news.
not good.
Yeah.
And I'm 10 times stronger than I was then. Again, the last 6 months, settling into my welterweight body.
I was going to say you're coming into your massive welterweight, which is the fact that you're like developing power and muscle mass even now. Like that should be terrifying for Sandy.
Yeah. Well, she thinks all she's doing is like all this weight stuff, thinking she's getting super strong. So she's probably confident in herself, but she'll see. She's gonna be flat. She's gonna be flat and heavy, and
Yeah,
trying to move, and I'm not gonna be there.
You're going to be in your welterweight body and you're going to box her up. 100%. Yeah, I don't doubt that for a second. I mean, we even said that going into it. That was our prediction, too.
Yeah.
We were like, you look better as a welterweight every day. And then more than anything, I just think you're fundamentally a better boxer.
Your boxing is just better.
Yep.
Just flat out.
Well, you guys have to think that. Your handprints on my ass.
This is before.
We listen. Our prediction going into that fight, having never met you, you can look at our track record. We picked, and that fight on like odds makers was close. And in fact, you might have been a slight dog, I think, when we got in on it. But
I think I still might be.
yeah, well, that's fucking stupid. Yeah. But listen, that's one fight that Rob actually won a bet on because we're like, no, we went into it. He's like, this Mayer girl, and we watched it and we're like, no, she's definitely gonna box her up, and you did. And going into this one, I think everything psychologically, obviously, just talking to you, you're completely locked in. I think she's shown how easily frazzled she can be, and that's just going to be a more emphatic win for Mikaela.
She's
Mayer.
a mental wreck.
Yeah.
She can't handle the pressure. I don't think boxing is for her. I think she needs to go into tap
Retire.
Put her out.
I don't think boxing is for her. She can't handle it mentally. She's a wreck. She's a wreck.
Thank you so much for taking the time. We really are huge fans of yours in every walk of life. You're like, a metalhead that beats the fuck out of people. Like, you can't beat it, dude. Let's go.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Seriously. It was an absolute pleasure.
And let's do this again. Let's catch up after your fight, all right?
Yes, please.
Oh, we have to, 100%.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Let's
Good to
catch
see
up
you.
after. We'll do this again, and we'll just solidify everything we said in this interview like you just did.
Yeah, then when the interview starts, Rob's gonna be like, "Remember, we interviewed you, and I had a farm," and
you're like,
something like that, So,
Love
awesome.
it.
Well, thank you so much. Take care.
You're the
right?
best.
It's an
Thank
absolute
you.
pleasure.
All right, guys. I'll see you fight night.
Definitely.
You got it.
Later.
Okay.
now.
Bye.
So, yeah, that was Mikaela Mayer, guys. Super cool.
That was great. We Mark did agree if she does win the fight, he too will get a Mikaela Mayer tattoo, which I think is cool. I think it's great for the show. I think it's great for women's boxing. So I just want to shout out Mark. Good looks. So yep. In all seriousness, I think obviously it's biased, but it's justifiably biased. I do think she's gonna box up Sandy, and whoop that ass. So I'm really looking forward to that fight. Can't wait, dude. If you've never met a cheese you can't turn down, like and subscribe to the Toe to Toe Fight Show.